These are the smartest moments in NFL history.
I have never seen this. Oh my God.
Did they flip it back in time?
And first up, we got Greg Toller hitting one of the craziest fumble recoveries ever. Because right after the Falcons lost the ball, the Cardinals had an opportunity to recover until it started bouncing towards the sideline. But even then, Toller hadn't given up hope.
Ryan gets rid of it, and Jason Snelling has the Falcons first down. They lose the football. But what a save by Greg Toller.
And while that definitely blew the defense's mind, on Austin's part, like, which team would be dumb enough to fall for this? The Bills have a couple guys who are nowhere near that stupid. Amari Cooper and Josh Allen might be some of the smartest players in the league, because on 1st and goal, they improvised this wild hook and ladder play.
This is behind Cooper, who brought it in, pitched it back to Allen, who's going to go to the goal line and get in! No!
That's definitely the first time I've seen a QB throw a pass for his own receiving touchdown. But there's a first time for everything. Like seeing Ty Montgomery make a play I didn't even know was possible. Guess that's what happens when you put a Stanford grad in pads.
Now let's take a look here.
He did know what he was doing. See how he deliberately gets out of bounds, make sure he's out, and then touches the football.
I'm surprised this hasn't been taken advantage of more. Sure, it's rare as hell for a scenario like this to happen, but I know a few teams that would take any advantage they could get. But not every smart play is based on high brain power. Sometimes there's both a 1000 IQ and a 0 IQ move on the same play, like during this Broncos-Raiders game from 2018. And shockingly, the Raiders were the smart ones here thanks to Dwayne Harris.
So he drives it deep over the head of Harris. Let's see if they can pin it inside the 10. As good job by the coverage unit. Harris says, I'm going to play this because I can. And look at the return he gets. What a smart move by Harris as he gets free. How about it, Raider Nation? Wow. This was Yiadom looking to pin this. And then Harris says, I will gladly take it and go.
That Bronco player has the field awareness of a stick of butter. Like Harris's play was quick thinking, but it only happened because the other guy's brain was back in Denver. But then you got plays where the smartest thing you can do is literally not score. Because contrary to popular belief, scoring isn't always the best option.
We'll watch Westbrook take a seat at the 1, and they'll just hang on to the football and let the clock run down to the 2-minute warning.
That's got to take an insane amount of self-control to not just spike the ball in the end zone. But because he took a knee at the 1, the 2-minute warning hit, and Dallas never got another chance. Now that is being a team player. And Julio Jones became the ultimate team player in a 2018 game against the Cowboys, because he was out there playing offense and defense on the same play.
Looking for Julio Jones, and it's intercepted. Oh, what a hit by Jones!
Like, genuinely, that was an impressively hard hit for a wide receiver, but not as impressive as Jared Goff's performance of his life. Because when the Lions played the Bears, Jared Goff went full method actor to secure the smartest play of the season.
Unsportsmanlike conduct penalties.
Now Gibbs stumbled after taking the snap, but it doesn't matter.
Porta, who's right there, that's going to kind of stumble out of there. And I wonder if that was a trick play, because now it looks intentional. You have Jahmyr Gibbs fake falling. You have Jared Goff fake stumbling.
I know the defenders' heads were spinning after that one, but it's not like it's the only time the Lions had a smart QB. The smartest might have been Matthew Stafford in this game against the Cowboys, because when Stafford threw the Megatron, the Lions were suddenly at the 1 with no timeouts and just 17 seconds on the clock. So Matt just starts screaming for everyone to line up. Hey, clock it, Riley! And usually that means the QB is getting ready to spike it, but not Stafford. He was chefing up something the whole time.
Time! He dives in for the touchdown. Did he get it? Yes, sir, he did. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Let's go.
If he hesitated, he'd get stuffed. If he second-guessed, the clock expires. And that's why you always gotta commit, which is perfectly shown by this Peyton Manning trick play, because Peyton Manning ran the ball in the craziest way you'd expect by not telling anyone. Seriously, he learned from his dad that if you don't tell your coach or team what's going on, it'll sell fake plays perfectly. Yes, he was right, because he even faked out the cameraman.
Peyton still has the football. Can you believe it? Peyton Manning runs it in for the touchdown.
Genius move for sure. But damn, put some hustle on that run, man. Even with the fake, he still took an hour to get in. Good thing that was a one-time play. But Travis Kelce has a play so smart, he can't stop using it. And he uses it so often at this point, we just need to name it the Kelce lateral. Not a whole lot of tight ends have enough composure to copy this anyway.
Mahomes, clean pocket. The ball is flipped from Kelce back to P. Ryan. Mahomes in trouble, throws back across his body. Oh, and a flip to McCoy from Kelsey. Look at this. McCoy in the open field. That was sick.
You know it's a wild play when you got a 50-year-old Burkhardt saying, that was sick. But it's not nearly as sick as this Ravens play, because one of the Ravens' smartest moves ever came down to the punter, and Sam Cook's big moment came. He took the snap, held onto the ball, and just kept holding it.
Owens rushing him. Flags come down. Nobody has even come close to Cook, who goes to the back of the end zone as time expires.
See, a game can't end on a defensive penalty. So since the punter held the ball, everyone else went for every offensive penalty in the book to run out the clock. Cook had the Bengals looking like the Charlotte Hornets with how much time they wasted. Crazy work to see a punter get paid to hold onto the ball with his life. But Sean McVay straight up hired a coach to hold himself. But honestly, it's for one of the funniest, dumbest, yet somehow smartest reasons ever.
I literally have to spend most of my time while the offense is on the field standing right behind Sean and ripping him out of the way when the official's about to run into him just so we don't get a penalty. There is an art to it. It is kind of like a dance. Maybe tango, like a sidestep into the path of the official and then remove that.
I mean, if it works, it works. But we really got professional human walkers before GTA 6? Honestly, the wildest part is how good he is at it. Dude's single-handedly protecting the Rams from extra penalties. McVay really took football IQ to a different level. But Randy Moss's football IQ is through the stratosphere. Because right after he caught this pass from Dante Culpepper, he got hit. But not all smart plays are from an insanely smart player. Sometimes it's just because every player except one is borderline brain dead. Like when the Giants stood around and watched Clay
Matthews, the guy who made the hit, is on top of the ball.
The ruling on the field is that it was a fumble. The ball was recovered by Green Bay at the 45-yard line.
This is why you always play to the whistle. But some guys play 2 steps ahead of it, especially Ed Reed. Because he outsmarted one of the highest football IQ QBs ever, Peyton Manning. See, Peyton's whole shtick was knowing exactly what the defense would do, when they would do it, and how they'd do it. But during one Colts-Ravens game, Ed Reed went into footballception and took the scheming to a different level. And he did it so well, even Belichick was glazing him.
One of the greatest plays I ever saw him make was against Manning, where he lined up on the weak side of the formation, and on the snap of the ball, he turned and ran to the middle of the field like he was going to play in the middle of the field. And of course, Manning read that and came back and threw the go back to the X. And Reed knew that when he went to the middle of the field that Peyton would come back to the X. So he ran to the middle of the field, but without even looking at the quarterback, he just turned and wheeled before he got to the hash mark, and just knew that was going to be the play, and ran over the sideline and intercepted it.
It's actually crazy to think how well executed that play was. He literally knew Peyton knew what he'd do. So he showed Peyton the look. Peyton knew he knew. Then stopped doing what Peyton knew because he knew Peyton knew he knew. When you got Belichick in shock, you know you're doing something right. Because Bill Belichick is the ultimate smart coach. I mean, he basically studied the NFL rulebook like his life depended on it. And after reading every page of the rulebook, he found a clock loophole. Basically, you can't take 2 delay of game penalties back to back. But you can take a delayed game and a false start. And when this happens, the clock just runs and runs and runs. And when the Pats were up against the Jets 33-0, that's exactly what Belichick did.
The clock winding down.
Delay of game, offense. This penalty's declined. It's 4th down.
Right, so So the Patriots took an intentional...
Look at Belichick. He can't even hold it back.
Wasting 90 seconds of game time is an actual life hack. So when the NFL figured out what was going on, they banned it in 2017. But not before letting Belichick get a taste of his own medicine. And what makes it even funnier, the coach doing the same thing to Bill was one of his former players, Mike Vrabel.
Delay a game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Tennessee's going to try and take multiple delay of games. Now watch Belichick saying when the clock starts here, what happens? Is it start to run? Because I don't want him wasting my clock. We're down 1. Vrabel's like, I want to waste this clock and go to 5 minutes.
Play War Thunder now. Join millions of players across the globe in massive battles on tanks, air.
Ball start. There it is. Exactly right. And that's why Vrabel's going to take multiple delay of games. That was just a different way to take a delay of game.
The student becomes the teacher. Seeing Belichick absolutely rage over his own tactic is pure dopamine. Same way seeing Roger McCreary's plays gets you fired up, because he took a page out of Greg Toller's book to save the ball. See, right when McCreary grabbed the ball, he realized he was floating out of bounds. So at the absolute last possible second, he dumps it right into the hands of Joshua Kalu.
The end zone, McCreary tipped it back in bounds, and it's intercepted by Kalu. Oh, what a play.
Bruh, Kalu running off like he did that all himself is crazy. Bro literally caught his first interception by standing still and waiting. But Troy Polamalu doesn't wait for anyone. I mean, he used to stop plays before they even started, because he studied the opponent's counts so hard, he had better timing as a safety than the other guy's own offense.
Don't want to take any chances. Oh, Polamalu again jumping the gun.
The more you watch it, the more insane it gets.
How about that? Oh, my goodness.
If he's off by half a second, it's an offsides call. And yet, he was never off. But risking a penalty is one thing. Nick Foles risked his whole career on one play. To be fair, no one expected this Nick Foles guy to beat the Patriots. And they definitely didn't expect him to pull off the most disrespectful galaxy brain trick play in Super Bowl history.
Philly?
Yeah, let's do it.
Philly special. Ready?
Doug Peterson's looking at him like he just had his brain melted. But the only thing that ended up melting was the Pats' defense, because Foles' 1,000 IQ move actually worked.
And they're going to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught.
The genius of it isn't just the play either. It's the play, plus how they disguised it, plus calling it on the 4th and goal, plus the absolute disrespect of running it on the biggest stage imaginable. And he's not the only one that scores off of a prayer, because the Dolphins' improvised hook and lateral might be one of the smartest timed plays in history. Not only were the Dolphins getting smoked by the Chargers 24-0, but it was also the divisional round of the playoffs. And going into the second quarter, they needed something, anything, to turn the tide against the Chargers. So they swapped QBs. Don Shula for Don Strock early in the second quarter. And that was exactly what they needed.
Wide open is Tony Nathan. Nathan takes it all the way down to the 35-yard line of San Diego at 27-yard gain.
With Strock in, the Dolphins finally saw some progress with his passing game. A field goal and their first touchdown of the day. And to top it all off, the Chargers missed their field goal attempt on their next drive. Which brings us all the way to the end of the first half. The Dolphins have the ball again, and there's just 6 seconds on the clock. Only enough time for one more play. And this is where we see the genius of receiver Duriel Harris activate.
Hard throw. Look at that!
A millisecond later or earlier would have been a fumble in the end of the half. And Tony Nathan, what a sleeper. Dude was mid-route, saw the ball's path, and booked it to take that lateral. It's tough that the Dolphins ended up losing that game, but I'll always remember that hook and lateral over the score anyway. And people will always remember Aaron Rodgers as one of the greats. And while that's definitely part of it, he was also just insanely smart at manipulating defenses. Because no one, not even Tom Brady, used the free play rule as well as Rodgers.
And Rodgers going to try the home run ball. Why not? And into the end zone is Greg Jennings for a touchdown.
See, if a defender jumps the line of scrimmage early and the offense snaps the ball before the whistle, the offense essentially gets a free play. If the play goes well, ignore the penalty. If not, fall back on it and get the yard gain. And Aaron Rodgers was so infamous for baiting defenses to jump that he has a grand total of 12 free play touchdowns.
Free play. Pass into the end zone. Why not? It's a good shot. Again, a jump, a free play. Rodgers is going to go to the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
That is like weaponized trolling. You know, after every insane free play, he was looking at the defense like, well, sorry about it. But Tyler Lockett just makes the whole defense look useless with his anti-contact moves. See, with stories of Richie Incognito or Antonio Brown flying off the handle post-CTE, a lot of players have started taking their health more seriously. And Tyler Lockett is the prime example of trying to last as long as possible in the NFL.
A lot of people can call you soft or, whatever the case is, but they don't understand the things that we see when you're done playing football. When people talk about CTE and people talk about injuries and having to get all these different surgeries after they're done, like everybody wants you to put your body on the line for what? Your entertainment, your amusement, whatever. I mean, for us, we put our body on the line every single day. And so just because you don't make a first down doesn't mean whatever stuff is that people say.
But that's not just some motivational speech for the media. He lives by that idea.
Since you're already playing games anyway, why not earn some free rewards while you're at it? All you need to do is download Buff.
That is a smart player. Because look, as much as I love the old days of James Harrison showing off 20-year-olds how football used to be, you can't deny that Tyler is smart as hell for avoiding those skull breakers. Man's turned a 5-year NFL side quest into a decade of iconic route running. But no one is smarter than Luke Kuechly. Because if there's one player that gives Peyton Manning a run for his money, it's Luke.
Luke Kuechly, he reminds me of Peyton Manning. Guy that is totally prepared, that is going to know what's going to happen before it takes place because he has studied so much. He's one step ahead of everybody else.
Luke Kuechly sees it, smells it, the guards and tackles pulling. He's so instinctive.
I knew that was coming. Luke is like the Rain Man of football, because off the field, he's basically a shut-in. Super quiet, studies film constantly, and memorizes every possible formation. But when it's game time,
goes onto the field, flips a switch, lunatic.
Hey, I'm all over him. We gotta go now, Chuck.
That's a straight-up Clark Kent the Superman transformation. But his studying isn't just to make crazier hits. He's constantly blown players' minds for basically predicting the future.
You break the huddle, he comes down, he's like, watch the screen.
Mike, screen.
He knew everything before it happened. Everything.
Trap! Pass, Thomas, draw!
I'm like, man, how in the world did you know they were going there?
Outside run!
It just really makes the game easy.
Knowing that many plays from that many teams doesn't even give you a high football IQ. Kuechly was actually just absurdly smart. But while he's the smartest player, the Colts are one of the smartest franchises. Cause no joke, decades ago, the Colts once pulled off a heist greater than Ocean's 11. See, before the Indianapolis Colts were the Indianapolis Colts, they were the Baltimore Colts. They had been there since 1953. So they were ingrained in Baltimore culture with their fans, with players like Johnny Unitas, and even 2 NFL championships in the 50s. But by the 80s, things had kinda gone south. Revenue was down, attendance was down, and the stadium was aging badly.
Irsay wanted us to pay for preseason games, 1 o'clock starts, improvements to Memorial Stadium. The legislature was about to use eminent domain to seize the club, so Irsay had to make a move.
If you love the Colts, why didn't you treat me right?
But we found his lawyer in Indianapolis, Michael Chernoff.
Why is there so much secrecy about all of this? Why can't you comment?
No comment.
Well, the city and state did not care about treating him right. So while the government was figuring out how to take control of the team by force, Irsay just moved it. Straight up at 10 p.m. while Baltimore was sleeping, Irsay brought in a fleet of 18-wheeler moving trucks. Every desk, file, helmet, and piece of equipment they could find was put on the trucks and gone. By sunrise, the Colts were officially in Indianapolis with a brand new stadium, financial incentives, and a fresh start. Obviously, Baltimore wasn't happy.
I just can't believe this is happening.
The Colts had to sneak out of town at night. It degrades a great tradition of the city in football.
And I doubt if Robert Irsay realizes tonight the full impact or the extent of his sin in pulling away a football team that was a big part of the fiber of Baltimore.
Listen, those are all fair complaints, but if the government's breathing down your neck, I'd say a heist is probably the only way out. The fact they actually pulled this off makes it one of the smartest, coldest moves in NFL history. And yet, the Broncos had already one-upped them the year earlier. See, in 1983, the Baltimore Colts held the #1 draft pick and selected John Elway. There was just one problem.
I want to give myself the best chance to be the best quarterback that I could, and I looked at that organization and what they were doing, and I didn't think that was going to give me the best chance to show off my talent. Not show off my talents, but to win a Super Bowl and to win as a football team.
So if I was going to trade him, it was going to be for the greatest trade in the history of pro football.
When no one met the asking price, the Colts took Elway.
And on top of that, Elway also had a nuclear option to get what he wanted. He had a legitimate professional baseball career he was ready to pursue instead.
Baltimore selects quarterback John Elway of Stanford.
I went down and picked them. When I came back up, they were already talking about, look, we'll just leave here and go do what we want to do. And so I knew it was going to be difficult to keep them from trading.
And while the Colts debated about trading Elway to avoid him dropping out entirely, the Broncos watched it all like hawks. They knew Baltimore owned the pick, but also knew Elway wouldn't play. And just days after the draft, Baltimore was so desperate to not waste their #1 pick, they dropped their asking price for Elway. And I'm talking like dropped it to the bottom of the barrel, because when the Broncos met the Colts, this is all they asked for.
He said, Chris Hinton. He said, Mark Herman, and #1 the next year. You know, I kept waiting to see what else it was. And he said, and I said, is that it? And he said, yeah, that's it.
That might be the craziest steal I've ever heard of. Genius move on Broncos' part to steal it for cheap, but they basically got a Lambo for the price of a Camry. But as crazy as that trade was, it's nothing compared to what the Cowboys did. Because in the 90s, the Cowboys pulled off the smartest, biggest trade in NFL history. And they basically had no other option but to shoot for the moon. Because the 1989 Cowboys sucked. It was like 1 in 15 type sucked. At that time, they had just hired a new coach too, Jimmy Johnson, who basically got the task of rebuilding a franchise from dust. Then, while on a jog with some of his assistant coaches, it struck him.
I said, what do we have that anybody wants? and we didn't have a very good team. We had one Pro Bowl player, and that was Herschel Walker. I kind of just threw it out there. Well, what if we traded Herschel Walker? And of course, all my offensive coaches got all irritated. They didn't like the idea at all.
He really spoke it into existence by just bringing it up. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the Browns called him asking for a trade for Herschel, and Jimmy knew he was onto something. See, Herschel Walker was a freak of nature as a running back. His stats were raw. The hype around him was off the charts. Even his workouts seemed superhuman.
Started doing about, sometimes 2,000 push-ups, 3,000 sit-ups, 1,500 pull-ups, dips or, 1,000 dips and, different things like that.
Yeah, so you get the idea of how most teams viewed him in terms of value. And Johnson played into that idea hard, and eventually.
And we'll just see if somebody wants to top this offer. As it turned out, I talked to Mike Lynn with the Minnesota Vikings, and he faxed me a proposal. I tweaked it a little bit, and we made history.
That's the understatement of the century. Minnesota basically thought they were just one superstar away from a Super Bowl. So trading 6, 7, 8 players for Walker was a stupidly easy decision. And also a stupid position. Because Minnesota didn't do the one thing you should always do when making a deal. Read the fine print. See, what the Vikings saw in the deal was Herschel Walker followed by a bunch of Cowboys backups. Rotational guys, people Johnson had no intention of keeping. But what they didn't know? Johnson had written a clause in the contract that said, if the Vikings cut any of those players, each one of those turned into an extra draft pick for Dallas. So
they end up with 9 NFL starters out of the 91-92 drafts. So 9 guys in 2 drafts sort of fast forward this organization from 1 in 15 to winning 3 Super Bowls in 4 years.
By the way, on top of that, their severance package for Herschel included $1.5 million in cash, a Mercedes, and a home in Minnesota. So even the player got a better deal than the Vikings, who got Walker and 0 Super Bowls. Yeah, I'd say that's the smartest moment in NFL history by a long shot.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform. Describe what you want, and watch it take shape. You can plan, customize, and expand in any direction. From tools built for one, to platforms ready for many. From passion projects to enterprise-grade systems. Everything is built in and ready to launch. It's a new world of creation, where you can go as far as your imagination takes you. Can you imagine it? Let's make your dream a reality right now.
Parents of children who play Roblox. If your child was sexually exploited, abused, or pressured to share explicit content by someone they met on Roblox, you may qualify to file a claim. Estimated compensation varies depending on what happened and how it affected your child. For cases involving exposure to sexual materials, estimated compensation may range from $25,000 to $50,000. If your child was coerced into sending explicit content and is receiving ongoing mental health treatment, estimated compensation may range from $50,000 to $300,000.